Hello. Karibuni sana, welcome. It's our very first session where we'll be sharing knowledge about music production. And I'm happy that you have joined. I would like to know who is already here with us. I would also like to know whether you can hear me before we even start. So if you're already here, just type something, say you're there, say if the sound is good, if we need to increase the volume, or if everything is clear, then we can be able to start. Feel free to share this with any of your friends who is also interested in music production. Yeah, I would like to have fun with you guys here as much as we can, as much as we can. So thank you so much for joining in. I'd like to know who is here so that I don't speak to myself. Who is here? Just right there on the comment section on the live chat. Let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, if the volume is loud and clear, or if we need to take it a bit higher or reduce it so that we don't blast your ears. I can't see anyone yet. Are you here? Have you joined? Can you hear me? Hello. Welcome. If you've just joined in, we are glad that you're here. Yes, for today we'll only need internet. We're just chatting today, an introduction to music production. What do we need? Do I need to break the bank to begin my music production journey? Yes, so if you're here, kindly say you're here. I can see Laney Mori is here. I'm glad that at least we have one person who has joined in. I'm glad that you're here. The rest can join us later on. So today I want us to discuss on the basics of music production, right from what is needed, what is entailed in music production. We could even discuss on the process of music production, but not necessarily going into detail. It is just a walkthrough that will allow us at least to kick off this journey. And my wish is that at least by the end of this session and every other session that we'll be having here, you will not go empty handed, whether you are a complete beginner, whether you are an intermediate in music production, or whether you're all the way into advanced music production. We can learn from you, or you can always learn from us. Thank you, Len Mori, for joining in. He's saying I'm in and sound is clear. Thank you. We thank God that the sound is clear. I can see there are two more people who have joined in. It would be good if you also say your name. We'll be glad to know that you have joined us here. So probably even as we wait for more people to join in, I would like to give the history of how I started my journey of music production. Probably it would encourage one person or two out there to know you don't have to be a son of a millionaire to be able to start your music production journey. Personally, I remember I really had passion to these things of producing music. I was really wondering, how do these people put up together instruments and vocals together and come up with this world class industry standard music? And it's something that always fascinated me, but I never had the know-how. And by that time, the knowledge of how to do these things was very scanty, and you could hardly get materials to do with music production. And people around who are already into this industry, I don't know, probably I don't think they didn't want to share the message, but rather they didn't have a way of sharing, probably because they had probably crammed or something like that. And some would make you feel like you need to have 1,000,000 shillings or 500,000 shillings to have a music studio or even start anyway. So I remember I started by volunteering with one of my friends. I won't mention the name here, but I used to help him carry his luggage. We go to choirs. I help him set up the mics according to what he tells me. Then, be there when he tells you record. You press here, you press there. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a. I had a keyboard. How do we call that keyboard? It's a PSR. I think I'd shared the photo some time back. Thank you, Ngugi, for joining in. He say everything is fine. Thank you, Caleb Masharia. We are glad that you have joined us well. So to cut the long story short, I started my journey with just a flash disk. In this flash disk, I had saved a software for music production that whenever I would get a chance, I would plug into whoever gives me a computer to use, and then, I could probably use my, those earphones you buy with your phone that have some sort of microphone, and you want to nashika hivi ama you clip it here. So it's the one I used to use, and yeah, there's some a cappella music I produced with that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if you are interested in anything, even if it's not music production, you can always start from where you are. You don't need to have the proverbial big chunk of money to be able to start. So to begin with, everyone who is here, I believe you're interested in music production, and you can start where you are. You do not need to have 500,000, 100,000. And if you have some of these basic things, even the better for you. But if you don't have, you can always try and use the knowledge that we will share here to try out these things out there. So probably we may start with what music production entails. Of course, from what we're hearing, it's just self-explanatory. It's the production of music, whether you're producing music tracks, what most of us call programming, whether it's for adverts, whether it's for you're writing for movies, whether you're doing commercials, whether you're doing voiceovers, anything that deals with recording of sound or production of sound from scratch. This is what you're calling music production. Hezekiah Mageto, we are grateful that you have joined. He's saying, grateful for this initiative. Kudos, brother. Thank you so much. So we are saying that anything that involves creating sound, yeah, so long as you're creating sound, this is part of music production. I would go through probably basic equipments that somebody may require to be able to set up a small music production, maybe kit, if we may call. Of course, we know we have those big, expansive music production studios that we don't so often come close to. At least for me, I've not had so much interaction with those ones. I've not seen most of them here, but we have a few, I think about 10 well-equipped music production studios in Nairobi. But we can always start somewhere. I've heard of people saying bedroom studio setup. And we want to talk about the basic equipments that you may require. One, which is the most important one, you will need a computer. Whether it's a laptop, whether it's a desktop, whether you're using a PC, the normal, Windows oriented, or you are in the Mac oriented, you need some sort of machine to make this work. There's another option, but that is a bit more expensive. If you have a digital mixer, you can be able to do your music recording from there, all the way from scratch recording, the tracking bit, if you want to do overdubbing on top. If you want to do the mixing, you can do all that on the digital mixer, which is something we'll discuss in a later video. I don't know what has happened to my video. I hope it's coming back. All right, I think we are coming back. Sorry about the video going off. Gideon Mutai, we're glad that you're here. So you require some sort of machine that will be able to process your audio, whether it's a computer or a digital mixer. And for the start, if you have that, we can be able to begin, whether you'll be using the microphone of your phone, the one that comes with your phone, or whether you will need to use, if you can be able to access a professional studio microphone, that one can also work. If you can access the microphones from your church, we'll find a way of making it work. So from a basic setup, you just need a computer. If you're advancing from beyond a computer, you will need what we call an audio interface. You have seen producers doing their music, and you've always seen some gadget that they normally connect all their microphones to, or the headphones like the one I'm using. That's what we call an audio interface. And this come with different price ranges, and of course what it can also provide or do for you. But I think the cheapest that we have around here in Kenya that can work very well should be in the range of around 7,000 or 8,000. You can be able to get a sound interface that should work for you perfectly. Apart from the sound interface or audio interface, the other thing you may need is your headphones. And preferably you may want to get studio headphones that give you all the frequencies as accurate as they are, without exaggerating the bass, without exaggerating the highs. Yes. And this, I think even with about 2,000 shillings, you should be able to get a very good sort of headphones that can work for you. And I think in terms of equipment, that is basically what you need: a computer, headphones, audio interface. If you want to take that a notch higher, then for the ones who want to create music that has instruments or instrumental tracks, you may need to have either digital piano, or what people are calling MIDI pianos, or if you have even these normal Yamaha pianos that we have these days, you can use, so long as it has some form of MIDI port. And MIDI port looks like that port that we normally use for printer. You know that cable that gets into the printer? Yes, that USB for the printer. If your piano has that one, it can work. If your piano also has some 2 ports that seem to have, they need like around, I think, 5 pins per port, written MIDI in and MIDI out, it can work. And this one is mostly on those very old Yamaha pianos. If you have the 550 and anything below that, PSR 550 and anything below that, that's what you would need. And definitely, if you have a computer, we will need a software that we will use for your music production. And one that I would recommend, I'm not saying this is the only one that can work. There are very many. We have Pro Tools. I'm sure you've heard of Cubase. I'm sure you've heard of the famous FL Studio. You must have heard of what else is this one? Yeah, we have so many, but the one that I will introduce to you is Studio One, which is made by Presonus. It is very user friendly, and I'm sure you will love it. Whether you are starting from scratch or you have been doing music production, this is a software that you'd want to try. And probably I may be able to show just how the interface looks for today. I don't know if you can be able to see. So this is how our Studio One interface looks like when you just open it. Of course, if it's your first time opening it, you will not see the recent file. Recent files is because I have been doing most of my music production from here. So this is one of those things that we call a digital audio workstation. Initially, when music production just started, I don't know how many years ago, but I think probably when they started producing music, from those two circular things. I don't know what we call those things in Swahili, the ones where it's not a CD, It's the one where you put something and then it moves in circles and then it produces some. Did they used to call it Santuri? I think something like that. So from that era when music production started, then everything was in form of hardware. Whether it's your recorder, whether it's the things you use to process your audio, whether it's the compressor, whether it's the equalizers, everything was hardware. I mean, you had a machine for everything. But now things have changed. We still have the hardware, which is quite expensive. You'll find probably one compressor costing you your kidney and soul. But they have found a way of bringing all these things in a digital form. From the analog workstation, production workstation, to now what we are calling a digital audio workstation that you will commonly hear people calling DAW or DAW. Now, this is just one type, the one I've called Studio One, and I hope you can see. I don't know if you can see it. Just confirm to me that you can be able to see it. Just confirm. I'm seeing somebody saying, my name is Collince Muga. How long ago did guys begin? Long ago, I'm not really into the history of music production, but I am sure this is information that is on Google. You can be able to check how long ago music production started, or if anybody herein knows when music production started, or if you can quickly Google and type there, that would be very good. But I want to know whether you can see this window that I'm sharing of Studio One. Just confirm to me that you can be able to see this window of Studio One. So I'm saying this is just but one type of a digital audio workstation, and you don't need more than one. If you want to have more than one on your computer, it's okay. But how well would I explain this? If you have used softwares that you use maybe to process Word documents, for example, there are different PDF softwares that you use to process PDF documents. You don't need more than one, because if you have one PDF software, you can be able to do all the functions that you require to process a PDF document. The same way, we have what we call digital audio workstations. There are different types. We have Logic, we have Studio One, we have, I guess Collince is asking when we began the session. We began this session today. This is our first session. We started it at 8:30. This is 48 minutes past when we started. Caleb, thank you for saying, for confirming that we can be able to see the window of Studio One. So back to where we were. I'm just insisting and saying we don't need more than one digital audio workstation in our computer, but it's according to your preference. Probably sometime you may want to try FL Studio and whatever. The only different thing that I may want probably to note, there are digital audio workstations or DAWs or DAWs that only work for Mac, and others work for PC or Windows oriented kind of computers. But there are only two of those that do that. For Mac, it is Logic or Logic Pro. And Logic Pro, the interface is more like Studio One. So if you're using Studio One and Mungu akubariki, God blesses you with a Mac computer and you'd wish to change to Logic, well and good. But Studio One works in both. For Windows, there's one. I don't know if it's called Sonic or what. I think it's Sonic that works only for Windows PC. But for the rest, FL Studio, Studio One, Cubase. I'm sure you've seen most of our Adventist producers with Cubase. And Pro Tools, all those work whether you have Mac, whether you have PC. The other thing I may also want to mention about probably the computer, you may want a computer that has some good processor power and maybe some good RAM as well. if you can, I would advise you get a Core i7. A Core i7 would work best for you. And for RAM, the higher, the better. If you can be able to get maybe 32 GB, well and good. But I can tell even me, I don't have 32 GB right now, but I still produce music. And I can also tell you, when I started, I had a Core i3 laptop. I think it was HP or something. But I had probably, I think, about 8 GB RAM. So if you have a very probably low spec computer like Core i3, just boost the RAM until when God blesses you to buy something a bit more advanced. You can advance the RAM, you can advance the, I think for the processor, you may need to just advance the whole computer probably. I'm not sure of that. So I think that's that. Do we have any question up to there? Collince is saying, I meant, when did the session begin? Yes, the session began at 8. Lenny, Mori, Caleb Masharia, Ngugi, Hezekiah, Gideon, Mutai, and Collince, we are glad that you're here with us. I would like to know if there's any question up to this. This is a live session. It's not a pre-recorded tutorial, so I would want us to interact so that I can be able to answer questions here and there, or any other person who is in here that already started music production can also be able to share with us. So if you have a question, I would like to take it right now. And if you're also with us here and you have interacted with music production before, or you're already a music producer, kindly tell us so that we can also be able to share some of the questions with you and you help us to respond. In future live sessions, I want to find a way of integrating Zoom to YouTube so that we can actually be able to interact, should I say face to face, or people who are watching don't only see me, they can only see you, they can also see you when you're interacting with us. So I was asking, is there a question up to there? If there's no question, then probably I'll just proceed. So when we are doing our music production, probably we may want to know how these different machines that we say we need interact with each other, what is connected to what, and that kind of stuff. If you're just using a laptop, probably with your headphones, the ones that you bought with your phone, and the microphone of those headphones, that audio is being processed by the internal audio interface of, or what we call audio card of your laptop. These days, almost all computers come with their own sound cards. The only challenge with the internal sound card of that come with our computers is they're not fast enough. So they cause what we call latency, or what we may know as delay. Nevertheless, if that's what you have, we have said you can always start right there. If you want to record your vocals probably one by one in an a cappella kind of format, you can be able to do something like that. I can see some questions are coming in. Is there a difference, say, when you're recording a choir or a solo artist? Yes and no, because in terms of recording, mic levels, and the basics of music production, it's almost the same. But the difference comes in now how you layer the tracks, the number of tracks you may need to record. Even in terms of now when you come to mixing, there is a different approach to it, which definitely I don't think I would do justice if I discuss in this very fast video, because probably there's someone, it's the very first day is interacting with some of these softwares. Hezekiah Mageto is saying, so far so good. I don't know how far you would want to take the session for tonight, because I'm especially interested in mixing. Oh well, gentlemen, I can see the battery to my camera is warning. I'm going to change that right away, and we'll be able to see me. So in terms of mixing, I don't think we'll be able to get to the level of mixing, but probably I may just mention a thing or two as far as the introduction is concerned. But in the meantime, allow me to just change the battery of this thing so that we can be able to see each other, or you can be able to see me rather. So I was saying we are going to discuss about how these different gadgets, the computer, the audio interface, the microphone, the headphones, the MIDI piano or your piano, how you connect all of them together so that you can be able to come up with the music that you're producing. I'm very sorry, I'm the cameraman and the sound guy here, so you will just spare me about 30 seconds as I continue fumbling with this thing to change the battery. But in the meantime, just 30 seconds or 1 minute, I'll put you back to the music. All right. I'm not sure whether it took more than a minute, but I'm back. Sorry about that. I think next time we would try and do better. So we were talking about how do we connect these things together. So we have what we call an audio interface. I don't know if I should assume all of us have interacted with an audio interface so that I don't have to try and look for a photo of an audio interface here. If you know what an audio interface is, I'll be glad if you just maybe put a thumbs up or you say something. I'm sure at least for Hezekiah Mageto, who has said he's interested in mixing, he's interacted with an audio interface before. So an audio interface, for the ones who have been in a production session, is that machine you see producers connecting all the microphones to. I don't know if my camera will, no. Let me just try and get one for the sake of the ones who probably have not interacted with an audio interface. An audio interface before. Let's see if Google can give us an audio interface. But if you all have interacted with an audio interface, you can tell me so that I don't have to go through all the trouble. An audio interface is that machine that you connect all your inputs and outputs to. By inputs, I mean that could be your microphone for your vocals, your microphones that is connected probably to the guitar, or drums if you're recording live drums. All the inputs, you connect it there. Some audio interfaces also allow you to connect MIDI through it. We are almost getting that picture up. Poleni sana. I have not really ventured into streaming, and now that I am one person, so it takes quite a while to change between one thing and the other. Here we go. I hope you can all see. This is what I'm talking about. So this is what we are calling an audio an audio interface. Let's just bring one very quickly. This is made by a company known as Focusrite, I believe. So let's see if we can just pull a big one here. Well, we are not planning to buy. So anyway, this is what an audio interface looks like. So for this one, if you look very well, it has one instrument input and one mic input over here. I don't know if the cursor can be seen, but I hope it can be seen. So you can connect your microphone right over here and connect probably an instrument, whether it's, I think, a stereo instrument like a piano over there, and then your headphone right just about there. Then at the back of this interface, do they have photos of the back? At the back of the interface, let's see. I think we can get a back photo somewhere here. Do we have a back photo? No. I can't see a back. I can't see the photo of the back side. But at the back of the interface, that's where you would have also some ports where you can connect your studio monitors. Studio monitors are those speakers you see people using in the production rooms to be able to monitor their recording, their mixing, or their mastering sessions. So an audio interface, one would ask, why do I need this if the computer has its own sound card? As I said, the sound card that comes inbuilt in our computers are not designed for music production. They are designed for basic audio needs, playing a song from VLC, watching from your browsers, those basic, But when it comes now to music production, you'll notice the inbuilt sound cards of our computers won't serve you well. One, it comes with a lot of latency, most especially when you try to play instruments live through them. It comes with a lot of latency. Latency, we said, is delay. So the audio interface, if you buy an external audio interface like what we are seeing here or down here, all these are audio interfaces, it removes all that burden of processing these audio signals, these analog audio signals from the computer. It does all that and now converts that into digital information that is very easy for your computer to digest. So assuming, for example, let me go back to Studio One and just explain something. So let's just take this to Studio One. There we are. So assuming I am using Studio One, and at the end of this session, if you'd want to get Studio One, I'll be able to share with you a link that you can use to download. Ideally, Studio One is supposed to be sold, but yeah, I will share with you Studio One. I don't want to discuss more on how we get the ones we don't buy, otherwise we will be removed from this platform where we are sharing this information. So assuming you already have Studio One or any other audio interface to your disposal already in your computer, you must select what is processing your audio. If you have your audio interface, for me I have a Focusrite 18i8, you must select it so that the DAW, the software you're using, knows that this is the audio device that we are using to process the audio information that we're having. If it is Studio One, you would come right up here, just press Studio One, come to Options, and go to Audio Interface. The reason right now I've not selected any audio interface is because the audio interface I'm using is the one I'm using to stream this. And one thing that you will come to notice about digital audio workstations or these softwares that we use to produce music, the moment they get grasp of your audio interface, it takes the whole of it, so it uses it completely. You can see here, these are the different audio interfaces I have used on my computer before: Focusrite Thunderbolt, Focusrite USB, M Audio, Voice Meter, Windows Audio. So if you are just using the internal sound card of your computer. You would have to you'd have to select your Windows audio. But if you have bought an audio interface of any sort, you would have to select it from right here, and whatever software you will choose to use, you'll find on the interface how to select the audio device that you are using, and in this case I'm talking about an audio interface. If you have connected your audio interface, and by the way, most of the audio interfaces that we have these days, the way they connect to the computer is through a USB cable, a USB from your computer to your audio interface. If you have already connected and you can't see it there, then definitely the issue would be you don't have drivers that will help your computer recognize that new device that you have connected to it. So assuming, for example, you have an audio interface like mine, and my audio interface, as I've said, is Focusrite 18i8. If you have an audio interface like mine, by that I mean the name. You will just go on Google, type that name and write driver. If you're using Windows, you write for Windows. If you're using Mac, you write for Mac. Download it, and that's it. Once you go back to your software, it should be able to read. It should be able to read or recognize your audio interface. So I'm seeing somebody's asking, the audio interface tumezoea kama sound card. Yes, Hezekia Mageto, I completely understand. Itabidi tuvumilie kidogo. Najua some people here are completely new. That's why I'm trying to be as simple as I can be, but at the same time giving as much detail as I can. So Hezekia Mageto, for now wewe utatu encourage hapa, na pia you can be able to answer a few questions here and there. And you can also tell us what audio interface you have used before. Ngugi Pian is asking, is this music made by you? Yes, the track that I played, I made it for one of our friends from that SDA pianist group. He wanted to use that track. So we have so far discussed on the equipments needed, and we've said you can start even with just a laptop, or if you are at a place like I was before, you can start even with a flash disk and use it whenever you get a chance to access a computer. The other thing we have discussed about is the different devices that we are using. We have categorized it into inputs and outputs. We have said for inputs, we have our studio, our microphones, and microphones come in different versions, which we will discuss in depth, from microphones best for live music, microphones best for studio setup, microphone setup for vocals, different types of vocals, microphone setup for live production of instruments, whether it's drums. We'll discuss all that. So you have said for inputs, we have microphones, we have our pianos, call them MIDIs, call them digital pianos. Somebody is asking, which headphones models are you using? I'm using, this is Behringer HPS 3000, and this is the one I started, the first serious set of headphones I started with, and I've never stopped using them. By that time, I think I bought it at 3000, but I think right now it could be even cheaper. So for we are saying for our outputs, we have our headphones like what I'm using, and you can even just use only this to produce a professional industry standard music. We also have what you call studio monitors. Of course, now this brings you to a whole different new level of your audio setup. And basically that's what we've discussed in terms of equipment. We have also discussed about how all these equipments are connected to our computer, and we've said it's through a gadget we've called an audio interface or sound interface, or some people call it a sound card. And sound cards, we've said they come in different fashions from different companies, but generally we will be able to see inputs, the ports for inputs, the ports for outputs. You'll also be able to see knobs that control the different inputs and outputs. If, for example, you have an audio interface which accepts two microphones, most probably it will also have two knobs for adjusting the gain, or what we commonly know as volume. I think basically for today I have really tried to really talk about the basics of what somebody needs to know or what somebody needs to have for music production. I will quickly take any question in the next 4 minutes. If you have also anything to say, you can write it in the comment section. By 9:15 we should be home and dry so that people can attend to their children, prepare for work, have supper, have devotion for the ones who have evening devotion. Yeah, I would gladly take any question. I'm still waiting also for Ezekiel to tell us what sound interface he's using. Yes, so 9:15 will be closing this up if there will be no question. I remember my first laptop, I bought it at 17,000. It was a second-hand HP Core i3 laptop. And then it had 4 GB RAM. I just added about 3,000 and I added another 4 GB RAM. It became 8 GB. And I've produced quite a number of music with it. The first piano I was using to make my instrumentals was I think I had shared the photo on the group. Let me just look at it quickly. But it's one of those old, very old pianos. Let me see if I can just bring it up over here. I had shared it on WhatsApp. Yeah, this is the piano I was using. What is that PSR? I can't remember. But so long as you can connect it to your computer, there is powerful things you can do. Probably even better than those PSR 900s and whatever. But you know, all this trickles down to also you working on how to, play your music. You of course need some basic piano knowledge to do some instrumentation. And yeah, that's the basic stuff I started with. Thank you, Ezekiel, for responding, saying this is very nice, brother. Actually, I'm still amateur in this field. Not that I'm pro. I'm using a Behringer 404. That's a very good interface. And in most cases, when they write these numbers show the number of inputs and outputs. So I'm assuming a Behringer 404 should be giving you 4 inputs and 4 outputs. Actually, my very first audio interface now, after I stopped using just the sound card of the computer, I started using the mixer of the church. I will show you also how to use the mixer of the church. There's always a way of maneuvering. So the very first audio interface I bought was a Behringer UMC 202. By that time it was 19,000. Right now it should be about 15,000. If you have a good tongue for bargaining, you can get it at 12,000, I think. Yeah, and you can do professional audio work with it. It will give you 2 microphone inputs, one headphone output, and of course left and right studio monitor output. But for the headphone, in case you need more, you can always get what we call how do you call it, a headphone amplifier, which can help you now get more headphone outputs. It seems people don't have questions here. We have 1 minute to go. I really want to thank all of you for being here, even for the ones who have not mentioned that they were here. Thank you for sparing your time to be here. It would be very good if you submit questions so that even as I plan for the next session, I also make sure that I try to cover as much as I can from your questions. The next session that we'll be having we'll be having a general overview of how an a digital audio workstation works. And for this case, we have said I'll be using Studio One. If you can, I think it would be easier if you're using the same software wherever you are, so that it's very easy for you to locate what is here and what is there. And if you've also been using another digital audio workstation, there is no problem for you to apply the knowledge that we are saying here to use it there, because digital audio workstations just come in different forms, but all of them can be able to do what the other can do. Yeah, in the next session we'll be having an overview of what a digital station can do, how you can operate it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining. Ngugi Piano Official, it is so beautiful. Hizo patches na plugins umetumia negani? Ngugi, it seems for you I have done some. You started a bit earlier. So I used Berlin Orchestra. Unfortunately, I lost those samples. If you don't understand what you're talking about, don't worry. This is something we'll discuss in detail. I am not the best in music production. I'm not even anywhere close. But I decided I will not allow other people to have a very difficult journey towards music production like I did. So my main reason and aim of starting these sessions, and I pray that I'll have the energy to run them, is to help another person not to have as difficult journey like I did when I started. So I will try as much as possible to share the information that I have. I will try to invite as many well accomplished music production sound engineers that I know to these sessions to share what they can share, for the ones who will accept. And above all, I believe whatever knowledge we'll have here, we'll use it to glorify God in the music that we produce. So I'm very happy that you took time to join today, and I would like to wish you a very fantastic and wonderful evening, blessed night. Till another time, God bless you. Goodbye.